The Soo Greyhounds are proud to select Ryder, Cali from the Markham Majors.
Yeah, so I think anytime you're looking at your draft board, you definitely want to be aggressive with it. It's not just about kind of, adding players that, for down the line always. You're trying to look at someone that has a skill set that, you can really elevate when joining your team. And I think with Ryder, looking at it, there was great conversations leading into the draft and everything I was kind of told on that side of it. And I think when you look at, the size, the compete, the skill, the brain that goes into Ryder's game, I think he was somebody that where we were picking in that first round, we were ecstatic about it. And, he's got some of those tools that are really difficult to teach. And I think if he, continues to elevate like he has and continues on that same path, then he's definitely going to be a player that is going to be an elite guy down the road. So I think we were excited at the time, and obviously we'll kind of see how things trend. But yeah, it was definitely someone that, you're excited when you see that kind of skill package, even leading out of development camp.
The Soo Greyhounds are proud to select Callum Croskery from the Oakville Rangers.
Yeah, I think when we were kind of looking at that 2008 birth year as a whole, going back to the youth Olympic team or, his time in Oakville, I just thought, there were some raw defenders, there's some guys that with some size, there was guys with a few different things that were really intriguing. But I think when we were kind of looking at our decor kind of coming into this year, we were ecstatic with the group we have. And it was something that when Callum was there, picking at the end of that second round, it was a situation where, you're getting a real high-end defender right across the country when you look at that, youth Olympic team and how he kind of performed at that level. And you seeing his U17, I think he's somebody that is really intriguing, and that's somebody you always want. And they're very difficult to trade for once they're in the league. And I think it's a situation where, we're really proud of what we do. And I think you have to be patient with it, but at the same time, you got to be aggressive when you're looking at your draft board. And I think Callum was at the top of it all year long, and we didn't want to kind of pass on it too far. Yeah, I know with Carson, like every time I had a viewing of him, he's somebody that the puck just seems to follow him. And I think in the offensive zone, he's a shooter first, but he's got great instincts. He's a big, strong player already at 16. And I think as soon as he can get up to speed with us, I think he's going to be a scoring threat every time he's on the ice. And he just has that innate ability of, as he's kind of finding little soft areas in the ozone. And I think for him, we chatted kind of prior to the draft, he was ecstatic about the situation. And I think, being at Shattuck and being a St. Louis kid originally, it kind of maybe had, unfortunately for us, kind of fall a little bit lower than if he was kind of probably an Ontario kid, all truth being told. But at the same time, all signs from his summer show that like he's doing everything he needs to, and he's going to get a great opportunity with us. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on him, and it's easy to say from having a little background information on him, but he's definitely someone that's going to be a scoring threat even at 16. And I think he's someone that we're ecstatic to get into our lineup as soon as possible. I just think he's got that swagger in his game that even as a 16-year-old, like anytime you see players, sometimes they come into the league and they're a little unsure of, the situation, where do they fit in? Like, anytime he's been skating with our guys, it's just been, he's a shot first guy. He's not just going to pass because he's out there with an older player, or he makes right plays and there's purpose behind everything he does on the ice. And positionally sound, is something that is a bonus at that age, but it shows you how fast he can learn, because I think a lot of times you're looking at that skill set and how can you mold that player. And I think he does a lot of things early on that you could just tell he picks up things very quickly, and comes from a great program at Shattuck, and he's somebody that like knows what he wants to do in hockey, and he's just all in on it, and he's just soaking everything up. And it's been awesome to work with him so far. Yeah, obviously you see the speed and the athleticism right out of the gate when you're watching Will play. And I think going through it, and when you're kind of narrowing down some of the goaltenders, we were kind of looking at him as a whole package, and he was super intriguing. And then we had an interview with him, and he was very articulate, talked about his training plan. Like, he just seemed like a really mature guy. And I think when you look at our two goaltenders that we have right now, and Schenkel and Miller, he kind of fits that mold of kind of the guys that have had success with us and kind of fit with what we like to do. And I think he's just somebody, when you're that big, that athletic already at a young age, I think as soon as we continue to add some power to that frame and, get those reps as he gets better shooters against him, I just thought he was somebody that, for us is super intriguing down the road, and somebody that can, take that step really quickly. Yeah, I think early on in the year, I think you see a guy that was a little raw, playing a little bit more of those protected minutes, I think, with his club. And I think as the year went on, you just kind of, the more you watched Harris's game, the more you could kind of see how smart he was. There was, the angling he was doing, the physicality. He's a big, rangy defenseman, obviously, that can kind of move pucks, but sometimes it's a quieter move than some of the other guys on his team. But I just think there's a lot there to work with. And I think the way, you're trying to build your blue line, I think he can really benefit from, playing with certain D partners and just adding a little bit of that element to our game. And I think with Harris, he's somebody that's going to take a little bit of time, but I think as fast as he's kind of progressed this last year, if he can have another year like that, I think he's going to be, open up a lot of eyes. And I think if you watch it on NHL draft boards of, how they're kind of building their blue lines, I think Harris checks a lot of those boxes. And I think he's somebody that, as long as you can kind of be patient with how he's coming along, like I think he's someone, as I said, the more you watch, the more you kind of fall in love with his game. And I think he does a lot of good things. And I think when you have those natural ability and physical assets, I think it's just going to, be a great match moving forward. Yeah, I think it's always exciting. I think everybody wants to kind of grade a draft on that day, but it's funny just seeing kind of our 07 class coming together here now after a great 16-year-old years, whether it's with us, junior B, or different levels. Like I think it's always a cool process to see how that next 18 months kind of evolves and things change. And, you're always hoping for more surprises and disappointments after you put those 15 guys up. And I think we were able to accomplish grabbing some guys that give us a little different, elements to our lineup in the future and hopefully some great options. And you always want, tough decisions when you're going into training camp. And I think this group came together really well, and it shows that everyone's having a great summer on top of it. So no, it'll be exciting because these years fly by, and I think you always want to make sure that you have the next group coming along. But at the same time, I think you want guys that are ready to step in when they're ready to step in too. And I think we're trying to be very cognizant of having guys that can jump in when they need to, get that quick taste of it. Whether it was Hunter Solomon last year, Brady Smith coming in this year, I think there's a lot of intriguing guys that are pushing for minutes, and I think that's a great problem to have.